My Gavan and Melonin, and well met indeed. I'm Arahir Galadrithan, head of the modding team behind Divide and Conquer, and welcome back to the same as we continue on as Dorwinion. It has been quite some time since we last played as Dorwinion, courtesy of my not recording for a week. But we're back. We're punching and we're kicking, and we're winning, more importantly. Now, I've got some interesting little tidbits for you related to Dorwinion. But first, let's just remind ourselves, for your benefit, of course, not mine. I absolutely have not forgotten what we were doing. Not at all. That would be terribly unprofessional. But as I can see in the south here, and as you'll remember, we've taken Varfest, thus cutting another deep blow to Run's coffers and primarily their military ability. We are sending Edward in and his paladins on his paladin entourage north to deal with Captain Jasur. Over in the west, Captain Walfa is heading in to relieve the beleaguered defenders of Logarth and take down Captain Barakak, which should hopefully then seal the Haroon's western fate, with the Burnt Lands being their final remaining province, really, because this region is a village, so it's not going to do very much for them. In the east, our army was successful at taking Elgar and Mistrand, but now Vinelord Viduhar, conqueror of Mistrand, is heading back to defend it against Captain Edgu, who's risen there. And we've got an army here. Frother is bringing across to join with him. But he's got to deal with some other upstarts there. So, who can actually move?
My lord.
Welfa, we shall start with you.
I will not waste words.
Cavalry, you're called in defense of Dorwinion. And there's a strong possibility we shall lose this. Ah, no, we will absolutely decimate them. So the key change for Dorwinion is, having played it and in discussion with the team who actually suggested it, or rather Rohur did, the non-allied troops that you get, or the non-allied's not the word, the non-aligned troops that you receive. So if you side with the Avari, you get a one-off hit of Northmen forces. If you side with the Northmen, you get a one-off hit of Avari forces, as we have done here. And as has been noted by Rohur, that unfortunately gives you something of a huge advantage over your foes when only 5 turns before the barracks event, you suddenly have an elite army that you're bringing to bear. And so, quite rightly, it gives you a little bit of an advantage. So, the armies that spawn will now be delayed, and they will come about 10 turns after the barracks event. So, the message that pops up saying, essentially, it's that if you side with the Northmen, then you get Avalyn, and he's the Avari war councillor. And the message is just that he's managed to convince some of his number to rise up and fight, despite the sort of Northmen-leaning future for Dorwinion. And on the other side, if you side with the Avari, then you get exactly the same thing, but this time it's just a generic Northman lord. Something that I have sort of been thinking over and over in my head, though, is, and something that I think after version 4 I will probably dedicate an actual, possibly, episode, only a 5-10 minute question on YouTube too. And that is that I've seen so many people requesting that Dorwinion be returned to a single roster and the elven human choice thing not be a choice. And instead it just be a key feature of Dorwinion's gameplay that you have humans and elves together. And it's something previously I never ever have given that argument credence. I've never given it weight or support in my mind. I've always been firmly in agreement that it remains a choice. And to be honest, if I were to vote now, I would keep it as a choice. But I am surprised, or rather it's interesting to see just how many outspoken comments there were about Dorwinion when I started this playthrough, and indeed just as we have been playing through. It's surprising how many people really feel strongly that they should not be made a choice, and it should just be, here is your largish roster, and you get elves and Northmen. Now, of course, if it did happen, the roster would be cut down substantially. You would get a hybrid of the 2 rosters that exist at the moment, but some of the redundant units would be cut. But it's not for now. It will be after version 4 has released, but it's certainly something that I've been thinking of, and will, first of all, of course, I will speak with the modding team first, and then we'll open it up most likely to the beta team, the beta team, and then thereafter we will discuss it with the community as a whole. Oh, that was an awful charge. Come on. Can you get any? Catching them a little bit unawares. No,
only half the enemy force remains. Our men have slain the general.
Yes.
Without him, his troops will lose their will to fight.
That should see them routing. Come on, surely. You get those. Oh, they are routing. We've lost a lot more of the crossbowmen than we should really have lost, because I am impatient and play the game faster than I should play it.
The battle seems to be swinging in our favour. From such tide, the enemy army flees the field.
Capture them all.
Pursue and run them down.
Every last one of them. Sorry, we're watching from afar.
Our foe is utterly vanquished.
Damn right. 15 brave men perished today. Ah, Sauron, just the man. Speaking of Sauron, although we weren't, but we are. These past few days, I've finished writing the first of the Nazgul Backstories. And I put so much more time into it than I had originally planned, and I reworded it 3 or 4 times, and it's so much longer than I had intended it to be, and that is only one of them. But I wanted to mention that that part of the next stage of Divide and Conquer is underway, and the text for the Nazgul, for at least one of them, has been completed. The gentleman's name, and this is going to cause some disgust, I'm sure, from many of you. But the gentleman's name is Leofric.
Your orders, my lord.
And Leofric, and something that's really rather fitting here, I'd note that this region is called Rovanion, and rather unfittingly, this region is called Central Rovanion. Whereas if we take Rovanion really to be the, it's northern bound to be the Khanan, that is the Khanan, or is it the Kelduin? Which one just keeps its name afterwards? I think the Kelduin becomes the superior one. On my map to my left, unfortunately it doesn't name the southern portion, and it says this obviously is the Khanan, or the river running. The Red River, sorry. And this is the Kelduin, which is the river running. Oh, that's Red Water specifically. But after this bit, it doesn't name. But I think the Kelduin takes precedence and the Khanan joins it. Anyway, if we take that as the northern border of Rovanion, and the Ered Lithui, the Ash Mountains, as the southern border, then Central Rovanion is actually about here. It's around Midjord, which is why it's called Midjord, because that just means Middle Earth, I think. And in my story of Leofric, I wanted to name one of the regions after the place where he is finally subdued. Right, Jasur. Ah, Jasur ran away. Jasur's army is so small, I'm going to just auto-resolve it and hope we get a good, favourable result. Yes.
Honourable,
yes.
Victory.
Hold on, Captain Walfer was that guy over there. What on earth? That was bizarre.
Your orders, my lord.
Right, well done, everyone. Well done indeed. Oh, we get a trading post in Ostinarui.
Yes, my lord.
Right, now we need to know. Now we need to deal with this army. So first things first, we need sight, but we're not going to get that for a long time because we need more money and we don't make much a turn.
Yes, my lord.
Frother's gone as far as he can go. He's gone as far as he can go. All of our troops are moved about as far as they're going to move, unfortunately.
Your orders,
why don't we send Edwardin out to find this village and put that down whilst we can, and then we can leave behind the mounted thorn crossbow maybe, or we can ship up one of these to be the garrison. Ah, yeah, let's do that. Let's take an arch unit and send them north. Go and find this village and end it. The scorched plains will be ours as well, and hopefully Dol Guldur will sort of leave us alone. Time will tell. But for now, let's end the turn. So Leofric, for those of you, he will feature in the developer diary, and I probably will read his story in full because I'm quite pleased with how it's come out, to be honest. And it'll be at the end of the episode, so people can skip it if they don't want to listen to it or read it. But the actual modded feature is that when you play as Mordor or Dol Guldur, the first time you click on each Nazgul, a message will pop up and give you the background of that Nazgul, and then it will likely be saved in... Well, I was going to say a trait or an ancillary, but the text box for one of those I don't think could accommodate the length that I've put into this silly story. So I'll have to think of something, but I don't know what. Yeah, well, we weren't attacked anywhere. Ah, hello. Rune are coming en masse. You think you can put me down, you absolute morons. Everyone you send will be sent back. Absolutely no losses.
Glorious victory.
Welcome to the family, Edwardin.
Yes, my lord.
We shall
What's Captain
engage.
Kargi got? Archers, even better.
Glory.
Brilliant.
We have triumphed.
Your orders, my lord.
Dorthalu is not a village. Ah, that explains much. And Löke-Khan Mukhalkhu is currently residing within it. What absolute madness is this? I think we've got enough to take them down. 2 units of paladins and a
Yes,
mounted
my lord.
crossbow, and hopefully Captain Athelwyn will arrive before the hammer falls. In that instance, we don't really need to leave you all here because you're wasted somewhat in this garrison. So let's leave the 3 weak units and the crossbows, because I bloody hate crossbows. And the rest of you, if you go north and relieve Ostinarui and then head
go no
east
further, my
and take Ostinavari. Ah, the runic forces over here have
Your
disappeared.
orders, my lord.
Perhaps they're headed west. How are we doing on the money? We're closing in. We're closing in on making money again. In time, we will make money again.
Yes, my lord.
I will not waste
Oh,
words on
Captain
you.
Edgar,
Yes.
you've got nothing.
Your orders, my lord.
Legend of
An
Total
order.
War will put you down.
We shall slaughter them.
Oh,
my
we even
lord.
outnumber him. Jesus. Yeah, that's just a trash army. I appreciate we have a trash army as well, but we've got a fantastic leader, and they don't even have a leader. So anyway, massive tangent. But speaking of Leofric, the general premise behind Leofric is that he is going to be alive at a time when the Northmen do not have a king. Indeed, the first mention of any royalty in Northman history is Prince Videgavia, who comes in the Third Age, quite some time after the events of the Second Age. Obviously. So Leofric is going to be, in my little story, my little fan fiction for one of the Nazgul, Leofric is going to be the first king of the Northmen. And he is going to become king because at this time, in the Second Age, roughly speaking, about when the rings we think would be given out to the humans, Sauron is relatively unchecked and reigns relatively supreme in Mordor. And so he sends orcs for the first time into the lands of Rovanion, which have until now been untested and left alone. But now he's going to send some orcs north to plunder the region. And Leofric is going to be the person that stands up against this coming tide and unites the Northmen under this single cause of survival. Hold on, who are we attacking? We are attacking them, so yeah, let's land like that. And Leofric is going to do very, very well at killing many, many of the orcs, such as it is that Sauron himself will lead an army north to crush Leofric's... rebellion's not the word, because Mordor is going to come on raids to the north to enslave the Northmen for the cause of Mordor. So Leofric's defense of the north, Sauron leads an army himself, and 2 gigantic armies are going to clash in the plains of Rovanion, Leofric leading one and Sauron the other. The 2 armies will meet, and Sauron and Leofric shall meet in the middle, and they will fight one another in single combat. Now, Leofric is a simple Northman, and he is not going to best Sauron, and instead, he is going to lose. But prior to the actual battle beginning, you should know, Sauron, in my story, notes the strength that Leofric possesses, both mentally and physically, and deems this person worthy of a ring. And so before the battle begins, Sauron comes to Leofric, and he says to him that I note the strength and power, this is paraphrasing, the strength and power that you've brought to the north, and I would offer you a peace. I will retreat south with my army, and we will not touch the north again. And in return, all you have to do is wear this simple ring as a token of our accord made here today. And Leofric is going to deny that ring. He's not going to trust Sauron, and he's going to fight him in single combat. And then, in the midst of the combat, Sauron basically breaks Leofric's leg, forcing him to kneel down onto the floor, crippled as it is. And Leofric then, accepting that he is lost and his army, which is grossly outnumbered, is going to die, and the north shall be ravaged. He bows his head and he simply waits for death to come. But Sauron doesn't give death easily, and he whispers to Leofric in the middle of this maelstrom of battle. He leans down to Leofric and whispers to him that he has now tasted defeat, But Sauron will give him this other chance. He gives him this choice. He can now take the ring from Sauron, and in exchange, the armies will leave. They'll head south. They will not bother the north again. But if Leofric denies again, and Sauron will not only kill those who fought in this battle, but he will wipe out every trace of Northmen in the plains of Rhovanion. And Leofric's love for his people is greater than his pride, and he accepts. And so Sauron calls his armies back, and all the gathered Northmen watch on as Leofric, bowing before Sauron, raises his hand to accept the ring. And then, of course, in time, falls to shadow. And that is where he's going to get his name, Leofric the Bowed. Because he is quite literally made to bow before Sauron. Now, the actual story itself is a lot, of course, far more fanciful, better language, and thought out. And as I say, reworded many times. It's taken me, I'm ashamed to admit, it's taken me about 3 hours to write Leofric's little story, and it's not even all that long. I mean, in the grand scheme of things. It's longer than I had intended, but it's not all that long. But anyway, that's the first, and so that's going to be the moral, or the story behind Leofric. Now, the only problem with Leofric, and I really thought actually it would be very cool to have a Nazgul have a Northman name, because we don't know anything about the Nazgul except that they were great kings or sorcerers, and indeed, in many cases, the rings actually made them great kings or sorcerers. We also know that 3 of them are Númenóreans, and I'm going to assume that the Witch King is a Númenórean, so we've only got 2 Númenórean names to use. And if you're interested, the Númenórean names are going to be Zagar and Aglaracor. And then everyone else will get free reign. So I've got a Khandish guy in there, I've got 2 Haradrim guys in there, I've got a sort of hybrid Númenórean middleman person who's essentially a Númenórean born into what will be Gondor, so he's sort of a Númenórean. It's a bit of a stretch to the rules or the information we've been given, but he's a hybrid, a half and half. And then that left us with one option, and I wanted to put a Northman in there, but it does, of course, mean... sorry, I should have sped this up, because it's just me banging on about Nazgul. It does, of course, mean that you will, every now and then, get orcs called Leofric, which some people may seem as too immersion-breaking, and others won't really be bothered by. But anyway, there we are. That's my first stab at a Nazgul. And as I say, in the developer diary, which you will get at the end of this week on Sunday... there will be more information on Leofric. Indeed, his entire story, as I will read it out, as I have already said. But we are pushing for version 4. We've made a list of the last things that we want featured in the mod before the mod can go live. And now it's just a case of working through those things and polishing up version 4 enough to meet our usually quite high standard. This battle is already an absolute walkover. We've lost 5% and half of their army has died. Although with these bloody trees in the way, if you pardon my French, I don't even know where the enemy is. You there. You're in the perfect position
The enemy are
to cut back and hit them and probably get them
men.
all to rout. Yes, there we go. You can see from above they're routing.
Our men have slain the enemy general.
The enemy general's
Without
gone
him,
down.
his troops will lose their will to fight.
We didn't even need the Guardians of Mistrand or the Garrison of
The
Mistrand.
enemy army flees the
End it.
awed by the
94,
victory we have
we
won
killed
here
500.
today.
And the golden sword. Oh, well done, Viduha. Constantly reminding the world as to why he is our best general. I appreciate there will be flaws with the Nazgul stories and with the Leofric story. There'll be writing problems with it and whatnot. I'm not a writer. Although I've always sort of enjoyed creative writing, but I'm not a writer.
Yes.
So there will be flaws with it, but for those of you that will be interested, when you're watching the developer diary, do have a read of it, or then have a listen if I am going to talk it through it, which I probably will. And do let me know your thoughts, because feedback is the only way we improve, although some do not give feedback. Oh, that's excellent. We're going to make even more money now that some people have died. Always a good thing to see.
Your orders, my
Right,
lord.
you're going to keep heading north. We'll see what happens in the west.
Lord.
Let's end the turn. and see what Rune does next. I don't know what we should do with our main army here in Mistrand, because Elgar is very, very, very underguarded. There's a new word for you. It's very undefended, or unguarded. And there was, if memory serves, a relatively large runic force in the forests of Rune to the northeast. And so I'm sort of waiting for them to come back, really. But they haven't done that yet. Ah, but here we go, an actual challenge. I stand ready, Mukhalkhu. Test me. Edwardin, you've recently been accepted into the ruling family of Dorwinion. And you and your paladins here... Did I just save it? I did, didn't I? But, dear, I have a terrible memory. You and your paladins are going to win this day. Because there's a very real risk that Rune might die with the death of Mukhalkhu. And I would welcome that.
The tide of battle seems to have turned against us. We must act and halt this turn of events.
Welcome to the small runic settlement of Dorwinion. It is here our enemy will meet their final end, hopefully. Right, get you out to the front. Very disappointing that he was still Silver Surfer, wasn't it? He doesn't have a voice either.
Paladins!
Paladins!
Sworn to honor!
Sworn to honor! Oh, you're nowhere near close enough. Right. Stand ye ready. We really could do with that bodyguard getting us close to our... Let's send them on a merry chase, shall we? So you hit those clansmen. There were 202, and after the glorious charge of the paladins, they have lost over half their number. Dear oh dear, you really do forget how powerful the paladin unit actually is. They really are a proper heavy cavalry unit. And you don't get them, of course, if you choose the Avari. Come on, target those. You guys go over there, you go over here. The crossbows are killing absolutely none of them. Keep running on. No, run on! You guys pull out. And in the confusion, we hopefully get more Löke-Khan bodyguard, but I doubt it. Right, you cut back, hit those archers. You go back into the clansmen. You keep firing on the Löke-Khan bodyguard. Although if you could actually shoot them, rather than just sort of grace them. Good job, Edwardin. Good job, Paladins. Those Balcon tribes and fancy you go. Come on. Alright, you cut back. They've changed their tact. You go back in on those hunters. Come on, do as you're told. How many have you killed? You've killed a grand total of 1. Are you being serious right now, guys? You've got crossbows and everything. How are you so bad? Oh, another one died. Well done. Well done. Positive feedback. Positive. What? I mean, well done again. Right. So basically everything, other than the general's bodyguard, is being taken care of. We're going to lose our entire array of crossbow bolts onto that general's unit, and he's not going to die.
Very much in our favor. Victory will be ours.
It's just ridiculous. At least they've obliged by just walking backwards and forwards, though. That's very, very kind of them. No, that was the absolute worst thing you could have done. Get out of there. Although it looks like you took a few of them down, actually. Well done. Keep them running. Men of the Thorn, you are out of arrows. No, bolts. Sorry, bolts.
If we continue like this, we will smash the enemy.
Right, so the unit we care the least about are these guys over here. So what we're going to do is charge them in.
Our men have slain the enemy.
Yes!
A worthy enemy, but no less dead for that. We must press our advantage.
Mukhalkhu, and it's over. 32,636.
Let all who remember this day remember it as the day of our most glorious victory.
Edwardin reminding us all why we removed elite cavalry bodyguards from the mod when we did. Because I am not even a very good cavalry commander, and yet can still pull off, without really thinking, simplistic victories like that. Although, as has been noted with the recent lore video on Helm's Deep and discussing Tolkien's fondness for cavalry being incredibly powerful, I now feel actually vindicated that cavalry...
have conquered.
Let's sack it. I feel vindicated is definitely the word, that cavalry in Divide and Conquer is so powerful because it is firmly in line with Tolkien's vision of cavalry and how insanely powerful he lists cavalry to be. Granted, the riders also have an effect in Tolkien's writings, of course, and so the people on top of the horse are just as important as what the horse does, but it just cannot be ignored that... Oh, bugger, that invasion call doesn't look good, does it? It cannot be ignored that cavalry is seen as being all-powerful in Lord of the Rings. I really would like that, but I can't afford it yet. I don't want to click that button. Oh, yes, thank goodness for that. They're buggering off. The invasions, by the way, a lot of people have said they haven't seen invasions for a long time. Invasions have not been taken out of the mod. They just don't kick in now until about 100 to 120 turns in. And the reason is because invasions are the absolute best way of getting... of totally ruining the balance of the game and destroying factions before they've had a chance to actually do anything. The AI puts so much weight and favour on invasions that it absolutely nerfs itself by chasing targets half the world away and leaving its homeland undefended. And it happens time and time and time again. And the decision was taken a while ago, like well over, absolutely ages ago actually, now I think about it properly. The decision was taken a blooming long time ago that invasions should have a far lower priority, and the only way to really lower their priority is to make them happen a lot later. So that is what we chose to do. Now, what we need to really do is get a boat and hop someone over to Theaton and take that back, because then our money will jump up. And we'll be sound, we'll be set. Can I take a unit from you, please? Yeah. So, Frothe, if you would, though, I'd like you to... Oh, look, you've got Avalyn and yourself.
My lord.
And Vinelord Viduhar's going up there without much.
Your orders, my lord.
You've got an absolutely astounding army. Your army, in fact, is the best army. So you should be on the offensive. So let's head due south.
Yes.
Viduhar, you're going to go and just defend against anything that comes from Elgar. Norway the Conqueror.
We shall
if you hit Captain Jigger North. What an interesting name. Now, I'm really tempted to auto-resolve, but I think we'll lose a lot of troops, but we will still win. We're going to fight this one ourselves. Although, he's not really got a very good army, but we'll go for it.
We attack!
So invasions don't happen till much later, unless there's a certain number of things that can kick in to bring invasions forward. And I think it is tied to the strength of evil nations. But I can't quite remember. And the reason I'm thinking that is because, of course, we're only at turn 67 and that invasion has just been called. And the only thing I can think is that we are massacring Rune at the moment, and that may well have an effect on when the invasions get given. But then that's why I was so concerned, because I assumed, as we are kicking Rune up and down the field, I assumed that the invasion would be against us, but it is not. So I'm at a little bit of a loss. But I do know that invasions do come later. But they do happen eventually. unless the evil nations are basically out of the game. But we're just not all that bothered. We'd much rather that the nations survive to the end to present more of a late game threat than to have key candidates were Isengard, Moria, and Dol Guldur, who would quite often send almost everything they had into the invasion, and it meant that Rohan just absolutely walked all over Isengard, and of course Misty Mountains, or Moria as they're now known, and I keep telling myself that because I keep forgetting, Moria have so many enemies they cannot afford to lose anyone to any far-off crusades, and so they were the chief nation that needed invasions to stop, so it is partly for their benefit really. Nice. Caught them just as they were grouping up. That's perfect.
The battle is very much in our favour. Victory will be ours. Only
and then
half
they're
the enemy
routed.
force remains.
Cowards! Rune have proven to be so pathetic. I'm so looking forward to fighting against Dale. I can't put into words how
The enemy general
excited
lies dead.
I am for
Behold
that.
how our cowardly foe
I know it's such a minor point, and as I believe it was Jamali or possibly Wolfson pointed out, we're going to absolutely decimate Dale, but that's not the point. Once
is
Rune
a
is
clear
defeated as
victory.
Dorwinion, you've won the game. You do what you like. It makes no odds. Maraquendi Sentinels, no surprises there. So that's why we're going to do what we want. And what I want is to bring Dale down. I really want to have a battle in both Dale and Erebor to show off the custom settlements, because custom settlements don't feature very much on the channel, because, of course, they're very hard to use in custom battle because of the way custom battle settlements work. And they're so spread around the world that you don't often come into contact with them. And it also has to be said that outside of Mordor, I think the good factions have something of a monopoly on the custom locations. And as I don't really like playing as evil factions all that much, we don't tend to fight against the good nations, so we don't really see them. But I am looking forward to playing going against Dale. It's going to be such good fun. We're going to assemble an army and we're going to sail all the way to the very end of the Kelduin, to the long lake itself, disembark at Esgaroth and burn their wooden palisades to the ground. We shall show them true Northman dominance in the north. And I look forward to it. But for now, that is going to be the end of this one. So for this week, there will be another Dorwinion episode on Friday. And then there will be a developer diary on Sunday. And then next week, hopefully, will be the first, alongside 2 Isengard episodes, next week will be the first of the returning version 4 faction overviews, which I am really looking forward to, because I actually do love them. Hence why there are so many of them. And also you also tend to all like them, which gives me momentum to want to do them as well. It always makes you want to do videos that people are enjoying, which is partly of the decision why I've cut sort of the Skyrim, any non-DaC stuff, because it is often considerably less enjoyed than the others. And
tomorrow.
it is purely a case of enjoyment. Some cynical people may believe that I'm in YouTube for any sort of financial gain that I get from it, but I assure you that is of no concern or significance. When I see that a video is popular and people are engaging and enjoying it, it gives me the impetus to continue on, and that's what I like. Oh, we trained a spy, and he's called Harkon, but without an R. Welcome, Vampire Lord. You join us at the perfect time. Hold on, didn't I move the crossing? I did, didn't I? Stupid Gallu. Now I've got to go all the way up to Erland's Ferry. That's so far away. But that's where we need him. Or is it quicker to go that way? I think it's going to be quicker to go that way, to be honest.
Continue tomorrow.
Yeah, because that would be a massive walk. Erland's Ferry is held by Dale, but Gazari Bar is still held by the Forces of Rune. Oh, I didn't notice you
I will not waste
sneaking
words
in.
on
Oh, I'll have to deal with him next time. Anyway, I just saved it again, didn't I? And I'm saving it again. I've just overwritten the same save. Anyway, for now, that is going to be all. So thank you very much for watching. And until we speak again, dear friends, Navar Naden Peramad Melunin, and farewell.